There you go.
Huzzah.
There you go, folks. Let me know if you need the game audio turned up or anything like that. Otherwise, we're going to go do all our working crap. Alright.
This guy working on a Monday.
And, hey, Asif, can we switch out your phone for the TeamSpeak? Alright, TeamSpeak, I'm taking away your privileges for a moment. Is anyone even there? Is Chris even there? Chris isn't even...
They abandoned us.
Maybe they did. But maybe my phone abandoned them because I got an alarm going off.
That's possible too.
Alright. Well, either way, here's Sekiro, and there's TJ. Here's me. And
lead the way, TJ.
over there's Josh. And who knows who else is going to get on here in a second.
So this was definitely my pick for Game of the Year, just because I had probably one of the funnest times with this one out of any of them. Sekiro dies twice. Or Shadow dies twice. Which is, as everyone knows, a From Software game. But it doesn't play like the Souls games or Bloodborne. It plays like an older game called Tenchu, which is straight up ninjas, stealth, gadgets, and still pretty difficult. Let's go ahead and move forward. So at some point he gets his arm cut off, and he gets this this bone prosthetic in which he stores all his ninja gadgets. And one of those things is the grappling hook, which allows you to jump onto any ledge, pretty much any ledge that you can lock onto. There's also a lot, like, one of the things I love about this is that there is so much more mobility in this than there is in any other From Software game I've played.
Well, there should be, right? Because it's a different type of game.
Sure. But even over the old Tenchu games, it's just, like, glorious how much things have evolved. Okay. So basically the story goes that there's you're in warring time in Japan. It's this group called the Ashina, and they had like a revolution within their ranks in which a commander killed a general, and there's also this prince who has dragon blood that makes people immortal. And so they steal this child to try to get his blood so that they can make all their soldiers immortal. And you're supposed to be that child's bodyguard, so you go on a bloody path of vengeance to go and get him back. And it does have like the usual From Software things, like these little sculptures. They are basically checkpoints.
Bonfires.
Along the way. And every time you rest at one, you get all your health and all your items back.
And all the enemies reset.
But all the enemies reset as well. So this is a matter of, like, I could just go straight at that guy that we saw over there. But, like, I'm a ninja, so the better path is to find a way behind him, catch him when he's not looking. Oh. Or just run. Well. And that's a huge part of this, is it's not so much about aggression as it is about defense and counterattacks. Hit! Like, everything you do with enemies is mostly about opening up their weak points, catching them off guard, and killing them in one blow. Okay.
So, I'm curious how you think this stands up. Like, I get that everyone gets tired of, like, the comparisons to Dark Souls and all, but considering it is actually From Software, I'm curious how you feel, TJ, about, like, how this stands up compared to the Dark Souls games as far as, like, quality and, like, changing things up from what From Software usually does and that kind of stuff.
I think it's an unfortunate thing to compare it to usual From Software games. Everyone hears From Software nowadays, and they immediately think Dark Souls or Bloodborne. And that's not what this game is trying to be at all. It's far more. Bloodborne and Dark Souls are far more like head forward, moving, aggressive, sort of just like throwing yourself against the gauntlet and working and eventually like learning enough to break through. This game is very much more strategic in like observing the environment, seeing where things are, finding easier paths through them. You can go forward and just be completely aggressive about it, but it's very, very difficult that way because you're a ninja. You're not built for straight on combat.
I would disagree with that overview. Bloodborne rewards aggression. Souls games do not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I always felt like playing through the Souls games. Like, I'm not as big of a fan of them as like you are, David, but I did really enjoy them when I played through them. And I always felt they were more about like attack and defense, like waiting for that opportune moment to strike.
To a degree, but I think that this is like to the nth factor of that, where it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It is a bad idea in this game to directly throw yourself at anything, whereas in Bloodborne, it kind of funnels you in that direction, where eventually you just have to take the direct path.
Well, I mean, Bloodborne, absolutely. Bloodborne is definitely a more aggressive game, which is one of the reasons that I liked it more than the typical Dark Souls games. Because when I play games, I'm a very aggressive playing person. Like, FPS games or any game in general, like, I'm just a very aggressive person. So, for me, though, like, that's... Bloodborne was absolutely like that, but I always felt that Dark Souls was a little bit slower, more methodical.
Yeah, and...
Well, I think a big thing is you have a grappling hook.
Yes.
That mobility is cool.
And that goes into the mobility and, like, the strategizing that I talk about. Another part of it is that in Bloodborne, you can kind of make your build, make your character however you want. In this, Bloodborne and Dark Souls, but in this one, you are this guy. He has a sword, and he has a grappling hook. You can't change that. And so, like, you sort of have to, like, I guess if you're coming into this game hoping to play, like, a mage style or something like that, it kind of doesn't work that way until...
There's no builds, really.
It doesn't work that way until later on when you start to get more ninja gadgets and you can make choices about which ones you want to prioritize.
They're all supplementary. They'll never be your primary needs.
Yeah, at the core of the experience is swordplay, parrying, and dodging.
So let me get into what I love about this game. I think, without any comparisons to Soulsborne or any other specific FromSoft game, I think this is their best and most intricate combat system yet. The swordplay in this game is phenomenal, and the part that they get right, I think, I want to hear you weigh in on this, TJ, is the feedback, the crash of swords, and the thrill you get at finally breaking down their momentum and going for one of the, I can't remember what they're called, the instant kills, is just, it's a rush. It's great. But now, I do love Soulsborne, more Souls than Born. Thousands of hours in those games, but I was actually tired of the franchise when Miyazaki said Dark Souls 3 is it. It was like, good, because I want to see the series go out on a high note instead of getting dragged and run into the ground. But I was super excited for Sekiro, but ultimately very disappointed in it. I think I played about 12 hours and eventually stopped. I know what they were going for with the kind of ninja approach, but I didn't. I felt that a lot about the combat worked, but a lot of it didn't. When you get into enemies with other weapon types, especially spears, the game gives you a training dummy to learn how to counter and deflect other types of attacks. But I found that a lot of the techniques it teach you don't actually hold up when the rubber meets the road. There are a lot of spear enemies where you see a sign over their head when they thrust at you, and you're supposed to hit a button or dodge or deflect at that point. It doesn't work. Some enemies seem to have special privileges. I think when you get into one-on-one combat against a lot of the bosses and the ogres, the thing is, it's almost like Deus Ex Human Revolution before the revamp, where you can only play a certain way, but up against the bosses, being a super stealthy ninja guy doesn't really work. You gotta go one-on-one and clash with them. The combat can hold up if you're really good at all the blocking and deflecting, and I do like that. But it's also, I found this game, unlike a lot of FromSoft games, to be punishing and to a point not very fun.
That's hilarious.
I know.
Just hearing this from David Craddock is hilarious to me. Because
I
this
went
guy,
through all of this on the Shackcast earlier this year.
No, but it's I know we've talked about this, but your beef with this game resembles a lot of people's beef with Souls-likes in general.
But yes, but again, and I know TJ and I want to we want to enforce this. This is not a Souls game. I didn't want to give the impression I was expecting Soulsborne Kiro. The mashup of all the franchises.
The original Tenchu did that too, though, where you went through the level like a full-on ninja, and then you got sometimes put up against a boss fight where you just had to fight him head on.
And it wasn't always fun then.
And I would say that is sort of like a failing of the game where it loses that stealth and strategy aspect, and you suddenly have to really hone your combat.
Yeah. The other thing is, so there's, refresh me on the name, but as you die in this game, there's a certain rot that spreads to NPCs.
There's NPCs that you find in this game, and they give you quests, and some of them sell you items. If you continue to die in the game, because your character is canonically immortal, but every time they die, their body puts off an aura that spreads disease to some of those NPCs.
It's basically called the rot, right?
And it's called Dragon Rot.
Dragon Rot.
And
go ahead.
And if
can you rub Gold Bond on that?
That's
unfortunate.
It will tell you that an NPC has developed Dragon Rot, and once you find them, they are sick and they cannot. You can't advance their quests or buy anything from them until you heal them.
So that's the thing.
So then that becomes its own quest. Is healing the NPC.
You find a special item that allows you to heal them, but it's in limited supply throughout the game.
So you have to pick and choose which NPCs you really care about.
This is a company that really went from kind of a niche cult following developer to a company that has been praised by creating games that are firm but fair. In this game, Dragon Rot punishes you for dying, even though it's not a Soulsborne game, it's a FromSoft game, and they want you to die a lot, and that struck me as unfair and unfun.
I don't think it is that unfair though, because unlike the other ones, you don't in Souls games you lose half of your currency, and if you don't go back and get what you dropped, then you lose it forever.
Yeah, but it's so easy to get currency in Souls.
And in this game, you don't have that. Scenario is your currency, and you can lose part of it, but it isn't nearly as punishing as I
think it's punishing in other ways, though. For example,
and I mean that's what I was going to say though, is that it does need to have something like Souls where you feel it when you die.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, for example, you start out in this game with a very finite amount of heals, kind of like the Dark Souls Estus Flask. And whenever you sit at I'm just going to call it a bonfire, whatever it is in this game, you refresh those heals. But if there are other items that can heal you, but if those NPCs have Dragon Rot and you can't cure them, or you've used the curative item on someone else that has Dragon Rot, you can kind of get into a position where scant resources become that much more scarce. And I found it really frustrating.
I will say that the item that cures Dragon Rot is plentiful enough throughout the game that as long as you're not dying for one thing...
So as long as, right?
For one thing, it takes about 5 deaths for you to start getting Dragon Rot. And then after that, it's like a certain increment of deaths.
You're going to die more than 5 times in this first area.
But you're going to die twice.
But at the same time...
But at
the same time...
Get it, guys. It's called
by the time that you've died,
all right, Blake.
Thank you, Blake.
But by the time you've died, maybe 20 times in this game, you've probably, I would think, learned enough about it to play by its rules and understand what's at stake.
Maybe, but a lot of times, again, even if you know the rules, you'll come up against a creature that somehow doesn't have to play by the same rules. I think one of my other issues, I love the art style in this game. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of white and there's a lot of pink. There are a lot of pagodas everywhere. I often found it very difficult to find a path forward. And I'm someone who explores. I like to loot everything. I like to talk to everyone, find everything. But I had a lot of trouble finding my way around. A lot of the areas in this game just kind of bled together for me. Whereas in Souls and Bloodborne, not that this is one of those games, but the diversity of environments really kind of prevented that from happening. Sense Fortress from Anor Londo from Undead Burg.
And I can agree with that. Like, I haven't played a huge amount of this game, but I've watched enough of it, and, like, I've watched people play through hours at a time, and, like, it really does, like, the environments don't feel as distinct as they have in previous From Software titles.
I can agree with that. One of the things I do think it does well is as you go through the game, it actually carries out sort of a real time thing where like we're at day right now, but it started during the night, and as you continue to advance through the game, it like goes into the evening and it goes into the nighttime. And I kind of like that passage of time as you continue to advance the campaign. Dark Souls 3 did that, right?
Does it spark joy?
No. I felt like it's a
spark.
But one of the things I was going to get at, and I'm going to use this guy as an example. There are a lot of ways around certain things here. That down there is a mini boss, and you can go straight up against him, or you can do what I'm about to do, which
run
is
around him.
You can like straight up not engage.
Yeah,
you can skip them altogether.
Stealth kill him. Yeah, this is really cool. Again, feedback is fucking great in this game. Oh, that feels as good as it looks. There's a lot of times where like you'll tackle from someone, roll with them, and then just like cut their throat and stand in one smooth motion. Go fight the. Would you mind fighting the ogre?
I can't. I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, I can get to him in a bit. Yeah. But
do whatever you want to do.
But I do want to. I do want to illustrate with this guy. It does tell you about perilous attacks right away, and those are attacks that can't be parried, and you'll see them when they turn red on their screen. Like a little red symbol appears over their head, like that, and it tells you need to either get away or dodge.
Yeah.
And you'll start to develop. You get techniques and like level ups through this game that allow you to deal with that. Like you're talking about with the spears, and it tells you how to do it, and there's also a training dummy in the camp where you can practice your combat. I do like that it allows that training dummy is there.
That's a great addition.
And allows you to play with that stuff.
So you want to talk a little bit about how the defense works in this game, and that meter at the bottom of the screen, what you're trying to do.
So in this game, you don't attack an enemy's life bar necessarily. You attack their stance. So as you'll see, as I attack this guy and parry him, there's a bar over his head that starts to grow. And the goal is to like fill that bar up so I break his stance and then I can do an execution attack on him.
My fire seems to get crabs back in there. Also, Pete Shack just subbed Tier 1. 15 straight months in a row!
Nice.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much, sir. He's our senior CSGO correspondent on the
Big
Wide World.
pogs in chat.
Huge pogs. All
Huge
the pogs.
Pog, boys.
I'm gonna go over to the big channel. There we go. Krabs is in the channel.
I hear you mashing the lock button.
Yeah.
That's another issue I have. I think one of my beefs with the combat, as much as I like it, is to a degree. I learned how to get by in this game by just learning the rhythm of which to mash the block button.
Okay, here it comes.
A lot of damage.
Okay, here it comes. And that's what happens when you fill that bar up, is that suddenly you can kill them instantly.
Okay.
And you take out one of their life orbs or something. Some of them have multiple.
So I was actually tapping the attack button, but did you know that if you tap the parry button frequently, it actually affects the timing of the parry?
Yeah, but there's a certain rhythm where you can tap it and it will not affect it. And you won't get punished by extra meter.
It's funny that you mentioned rhythm, because I have heard this is almost more of a rhythm game.
It absolutely is.
When it comes to
and like, I feel like for those red attacks, it does give you enough warning where if you know what the... It's like Dark Souls, where once you meet an
Dark
enemy...
Souls. Drink, everybody!
It's hard to avoid that comparison.
Well, I was going to say, once you run into an enemy and you start to like get a feel for them, which I think a lot of enemies in this game do allow you the opportunity to get a feel for what you're facing.
Yeah.
Then
they implement that parry thing very well, because I'll tell you that I play a lot of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and they have not implemented that well.
Yeah.
They have the enemy glow entirely red, and you can't see it half the time. Like, this is a much clearer indicator that you cannot parry the attack and you gotta move.
I mean, this is made by the guy who invented that system. You know.
I can't remember where there's a...
That's true.
So you're losing your way, huh?
I'm trying to remember if there was
It all
a.
looks the same.
No, it's not that it all looks the same. It's that I'm trying to remember where
Compared to
the.
Death Stranding.
There's a lantern around here, and I'm trying to remember where it is, so we have a save spot. But
I like the graphics of Death Stranding.
I like the graphics.
Like, that was on a regular PS4.
Oh, I know. I'm looking forward to seeing it on a PC.
On a PC, like when you know how everyone's going goo goo gaga over RDR2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see what Death Stranding
Sekiro
looks
is
like on PC.
one of the best looking games I think this year, especially on PC. So I'm glad
It
we're
is.
playing on
It's,
that,
yeah, we're playing a lot of games on PC. Yeah, I mean, these are. Hi, Greg.
Did somebody die twice yet?
no.
No.
Okay, well, let me know.
I'm pretty good.
We need to get you a chair.
I can move. That's okay. No, there's a chair there. I'll just.
Oh, there's a chair. I can't see. But now we have two screens set up.
Yeah.
So if you're in the back row, you can see.
First big
I wonder what is chat weighing in on Sekiro. Sekiro is
No. Chat's been awfully quiet. I think they're mostly at work.
this.
I think when we get to the Switch block, things are probably going to be a little more lit in chat.
There's something in this game where they say that Shakira you only see twice.
Hips only die
Yeah,
twice.
it's
Oh, hips don't lie twice.
Shakira,
Hips slide, Shakira died.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's come up with some more fake Shakira headlines.
Oh,
There's
jeez.
a PC mod for
Well,
you.
I died once.
You died once.
Oh, you
I
did
did
one
that
more,
once.
and that's it.
What are you doing? Playing Mario Maker or something?
No, I was just doing
died,
some
though.
emails.
Okay.
Didn't want to do the emails.
Loyal Wolf,
It's
take
all
my
cool.
blood and live
Yeah,
again.
the co-op room's a nice place to go chill during the stream, I think.
Did you have a favorite area or boss fight in this game?
I do. Wait,
Josh is lonely.
I'm alive.
5 years in the making, boys.
I forgot about that. That is the way that it's off.
Man,
What's
we were
that?
just
She does
I forgot
really
about
like
that. So I.
You're so cute, Lola. That's ridiculous.
I completely forgot that there is a way that it softens the death in this game. The one-time resurrect.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird too. That's just the one-time resurrect is a pretty cool mechanic. I know that sometimes it's
Because you don't get Dragon Rod if you don't use up all your resurrects.
right. So you do get to choose whether to use them or just revive at a checkpoint, right?
Yes, if you actually revive at a checkpoint, then
I
Dragon Rod
changed
sets
it.
in. So that's the way that it softens the blow.
I saw it, Brittany, and I changed it. But thanks for the heads up.
You actually, there's, you guys just saw me die, but like, one of the
Once.
mechanics in this game is that you have this little resurrect token,
Yeah.
and as long you can use that token, as long as you don't die without a token to use, then you can just go on with the game. I just picked up right where I left off.
My biggest issue with that is I often die once, like when I'm still like surrounded by 4 teams. So I'm like, hey, I'm back, and then it just kill me again in like 2 seconds.
And they don't give you like a second to compose yourself. They just rush you as you're standing.
Yeah.
They actually they stop paying attention to you for a bit, and you just give them time to get away from you, and then you resurrect is the strat.
But don't you only have so long to use the resurrect, right?
You do.
What do you think about Sekiro?
This guy is shooting at me.
By the way,
Killing.
this game is still trial and error, though. Would you say, TJ, at its core, though? Or no?
Trial and error is kind of a reductive.
I would say trial and error, but I would also say that it's perfectly the way it should be as far as like a ninja game goes, in my opinion. Because like, oh shit.
Yeah, that guy.
The one thing that I do have a serious gripe about is that shooters like that guy over there can see you from anywhere, and it feels like they have far too much awareness for this game. Fuck you. He's done.
Adult language.
It's fine.
Gunners in this game have far more awareness than any other enemy, and they will keep track of you even when you're not in their sight and continue to shoot at you, and they're so annoying in that way. I do not understand why they did that with this game.
Probably to make it challenging, right? Because if you just go behind a wall and they didn't see track you anymore, it'd be too easy.
But
to,
they
avoid
take
them.
longer than any other enemy to lose track of you and just like continue to fire at you even when you're behind that wall.
If
Like,
there was an easier way to dodge, then that'd be one thing, but It's way too easy to get hit.
But you have the throwing knives.
Well, you got the deflect. You can deflect bullets.
Yeah, but the timing for that is
Like
really,
Jedi.
really precise.
Not too much, actually.
Can we give this best Jedi game?
Yes, I would say that I enjoy this far more than I liked Jedi Fallen Order.
Null avoids our respawn order.
For many of the same reasons,
That
actually.
would probably not work, but that's a good hot take right there. I hope Mark clips
I look
that.
at her
Oh.
hot takes.
See what? Oh,
I like my Fallen Order.
I'm not saying it's a bad game.
I like Star Wars.
It did make me feel like a Jedi, so.
But,
Which is what I wanted from a Star Wars Jedi game.
well, then go play a good Star Wars.
I will. I'll go
Like
play.
Knights of the Old
Jedi.
Republic.
I'll go play Jedi Knight
Or
2.
Star Wars. Dark Forces.
Jedi Knight
Dark
2.
Forces.
Yeah.
Dark Forces is a great game.
Dark Forces.
We are
2,
not.
Jedi
We are not here to step on Star Wars.
Listen, Ozzy.
We don't
enjoyed
want
it.
Mickey
I
Mouse
enjoyed
breaking
it.
in here.
Mickey Mouse is going to step on Star
No,
Wars.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse is doing enough
It's a
stepping on
solid
Star
game.
Wars.
He doesn't need
Yeah,
it.
I said we're not here to step on Star Wars.
It's a solid game.
We misheard.
What if Baby Yoda and Baby Chewbacca, but
Started
on
a sitcom.
Endor, but on Endor?
A sitcom.
I'm actually going back to get the Shurikens.
Think about it. Think about it.
What would the theme song be like?
That does not make sense.
Yeah, but it'd be super
And they just
cute.
hang out with a bunch of Ewoks.
And then
Yeah.
this is another.
And Lola's there. Profit.
Because-
Baby Chewbacca
yeah,
does not
Step
make
3,
sense.
profit.
You have to be there, right?
The Lola is like a new race in Star Wars. It's the whole planet.
Well, I mean, at least she has a name.
There.
The whole Lola
At
Bear
least we know what
planet.
her race would be called.
Lola Bears.
We don't know what Baby Yoda's race is.
Yeah, exactly.
Baby Yoda.
The child.
The child.
The child of Yoda.
How do they even know it's a him?
Big revelation in the last episode.
Could be an egg. It
They
could
keep
be
saying
asexual
him.
production.
It may not even have a gender for all we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be asexual reproduction. We have no
They
idea.
could be like one of those
It's all
one of those
mystery.
races from the expanded universe that change sex every certain amount of years.
Yeah, see, possibilities are endless. It's
Endless.
part of the fun.
So this is one of the things I was talking
Is it?
about. As you explore the world, you discover items that you can't use until you bring them back to this guy, and he makes gadgets for you to attach to your grappling hook arm. And basically, these are the things that you level up throughout the game, as well as sword techniques. So you give him this, and he makes it so that you can.
Yeah, he has a prosthesis, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And he makes it so that you can fire shurikens out of your arm, which is good for throwing people off balance or doing damage to those. That's actually a good way to do damage to those ranged fighters.
I like that the guy missing an arm is the one that is in charge of all of this.
He's a carver.
Yeah, but
great.
it's a mystical enchanted arm though, so it's like it does a bunch of cool stuff.
No, it's cool. Like it's
Mystical,
And he gives-
enchanted arm.
Yeah, I mean,
something
that's
to
what
deal
else?
with
What else
asshole
would you call it,
content.
man? I mean,
Is that fair? Fair
What do you
description.
think, Lola?
Okay.
That's box clothes.
Yeah,
So from there,
I agree.
and
I've never had best magical arm in a game.
Best magical arm in a game.
so
really
then
outdone themselves this time.
I'm gonna put us back where I the furthest lamp I found. That's another thing. Is any lamp you find, you can fast travel between them all, just like any From Software game.
Except Dark Souls.
And so you just sort of incrementally make your way forward. So I'm back at kind of where we were right before I fought that mid boss. The mid boss is still dead. They don't come back, but everybody else does.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going to say, who wants to play?
Yeah.
I guess I'll jump in.
All right.
Asif is
You want to just switch seats?
a Dark Souls veteran now.
Huh?
You're a Dark Souls veteran now.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna die a bunch.
He's going to do the broken ladle run in Dark Souls 2 with me.
You'll have the ladle. I'll just try to beat it regular.
Okay.
Right? I think that's what the plan was.
So,
We got watch you play the game.
right bumper is sword attacks. Left bumper is guard and parry.
Apologies.
Inverting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where would that be? Camera.
Played any Sekiro.
I have played some Sekiro.
Does it not have that?
What did you think, people?
I appreciate it for what it is.
Camera
I
options.
Camera
appreciate
options.
I was about to call this game trash, but no, most good games have that now. Because they understand the plight of the inverted people. Krabs understands.
You might want to on the D-pad, you switch your quick items.
Mm-hmm.
Move it over to the healing gourd. That's the one that you want to keep.
I hear you. I hear you loud. Oh, what the hell? Really? Already?
Those are dogs.
What? They just already?
Yeah, they don't like you.
Why am I killing? I don't want to kill dogs. I
Dogs are terrible.
don't want to kill dogs. What is this? Are you serious?
Wildlife in general.
What is that?
Fucking rooster once.
You died.
So I put
Once.
you at a good spot.
So do I resurrect again?
You can resurrect right now.
Right
Press
away.
right bumper. And then jump.
Yeah, you might want to get away.
Left trigger to use your grappling hook.
Okay.
When you see a green dot. And X button is to hang off ledges.
Go, Spooder Man.
Okay.
If you go back, if you press the...
Where are those freaking dogs?
Dogs can't climb trees. It's science.
What about this guy? I don't want to murder dogs, Lola.
He's throwing
I
rocks
don't want
at
to
you.
work dog.
Why is he throwing? So I
Well,
gotta
I'm
take a
sorry,
healing
you
gourd. How do I
have to
activate
have
my
no
healing gourd?
choice.
X. Or you could, I was just going to say, commune with the idol so you can get all your health and resurrect back.
I commune with the idol.
Just press it once. You don't have to
Okay,
hold
let's
it.
go in and see if
But
he's
I
like,
like
don't
the
wanna
way
be
it
a
looks.
pirate.
So actually holding the X button is also how you collect items off dead bodies. You're like a magnet.
Oh man, I'm about to die again. Ta-da.
If you commune with the idol, you'll reset everything, but you'll also get all your health and resurrects back. You just tap it.
What is this
You might
thing?
as well, because
That's your life.
So wait, this is parry. Okay. Can I parry dog attacks?
You can.
I don't like this game.
Don't look at Lola.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Lola's not interested.
You killed it.
She's not interested.
That guy's about to kill you. You can also lock onto him by pressing on the right stick. Tapping the right stick. You murdered him.
Ooh.
What? And your dogs.
Death threats. I will say, most satisfying.
Those were
death
bad
setting.
Oh
dogs.
yeah. It feels great. It's
You're a
rush.
good dog.
You just like
You're a good
get your
dog.
ass kicked for a while, and then you unlock that red button, and you just like,
What is this? What am I
That's
doing
a
here?
ledge.
Is this a bad idea?
it might be.
It's Spooder Man.
Okay. Well, what happened? I'm guessing I'll die.
I
Probably.
expect pictures.
Yeah, you could just go back to.
Oh, I could go maybe over there.
You
Oh.
need it to be a green before you can actually grapple onto it, like that.
Yeah, awesome.
X button to grab ledges.
Walking is outdated. Just go everywhere with it. The grappling hook.
Walking's out to
Yeah.
So X button is to like ascend ledges, and B button is to drop from ledges.
Ledge hang. What was that?
You sucked out items from the dead people.
Excellent. Am I going the right way? Is there a
Yes.
right way?
Yes. So yeah, this is where I fought that mid boss. He doesn't come back. He's dead forever.
Oh, okay.
That's the other thing, is that like named characters don't come back once you kill them. Everything
I like
else
this.
does because they're minions, and you can just buy them at the minion store.
I like this Ninja Dark Souls. This is good. But it's not. Oh, cool. So you can like be. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You're in a good position to murder that gunman.
Oh wait, this guy.
See, you can block bullets.
It's just really hard.
No, he just did it just by holding it.
I'm not even. Getting
As long as you're facing in their direction when you
What's
when you're
this big
blocking.
dude? Look at all these people. And
That's
he's
a
throwing
fat-
rocks at me?
That's a
Really?
large man with a
How
hammer.
dare you, sir?
That's a large man with a hammer, and if you go down there, he'll hit you with it.
Okay, there's no projectiles, eh?
You have the shurikens, but you have a limited amount of uses on them.
Is that on
That's your right trigger.
my right trigger? Okay.
You should definitely probably use a healing gourd.
Well, yeah, right. Was that? How did I do that?
Up on the D-pad.
There we go.
That's how you use your
Have a
item.
nice drink.
That's good stuff.
Get boozed up.
I'm surrounded. And this guy's throwing rocks at me.
rocks at you, man. Look at that. I'm just fighting rocks.
It's really rude, for being honest.
They're trapped in here with you. It's not the other way around. Oh, just kidding.
So we keep getting the high ground.
I do appreciate the Dark Souls games a lot for what they are. I just think it's a big mistake to just like compare this game to them just for how directed it is.
Okay.
I'm not forgetting that targeting system started with Ocarina of Time. That was the first game.
Should
that
I
used a very similar
tap out?
targeting system. Oh, that's one.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I think I should probably do
You get two. You get two deaths.
Oh, I get 2 deaths?
Yeah, Sekiro's have to die twice.
Yeah,
Oh.
and then you get that's the rules. I had to make the rules. I just worked.
I thought I already...
Yeah, you can keep playing. I don't know.
I figured we should just get as many people in. Does anyone else want to try it? I'll play. So I can figure it out. Go
Can I
ahead.
slide over again?
You gotta invert the controls, please, Asa.
Does she have an order somewhere?
Huh?
Does she have an order somewhere?
I'm gonna make a meme, Asa, where you're like, they should make inverted controls for every game. There are dozens of us. Dozens.
I'm trying to remember if I ever had any problem finding my direction in this game.
I mean, once you know the environment, it's cool. But I can't just be dropped into an area and just figure it out.
I'm the kind of person that will throw myself off ledges trying to figure out exploring every nook and cranny. So I don't feel like I ever really ended up not having a direction to go. Right, left trigger is the grappling hook when you see the green buttons.
Good to know.
Right bumper is attack, left bumper is parry and guard. Right trigger is shuriken. B button dodge rolls. Like so.
He'll die.
Donovan got no time to run from dogs.
That was a short time, just wasted.
Yep.
She was.
And then, like I said, clicking in the right stick locks onto an enemy like that.
Really, that luck when somebody knew was there.
I do.
This is gonna be like musical chairs all night.
I really do love the
That's part of the
verticality in this game.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Mad Butterfly is easily my favorite fight in this whole game.
She's where I dropped out.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
a hard boss battle from what I've read.
It's so good though.
And I didn't try it like once or twice. Like I don't give up easily in these games.
You couldn't figure out the path.
It was pieced out. And again, I was super
This
excited
game is
about
very
it.
difficult, TJ.
It's not even that it's difficult. I thought it was
I think it's
difficult
hard.
in a bad way. In some
It's
bad
hard.
ways, some good, some bad.
It's very hard. I kind of wanted to bring up just. You know, there was a big discussion earlier this year about accessibility in this game.
I agree that that I'm on the side of From Software should have a difficulty slider,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I remember.
because you know what, there is a bell in the game that makes that if you get to it and you ring it, it makes the game harder. And you can't tell me that if you can put a bell in the game that makes the difficulty greater, you can't also put a bell in the game that makes the difficulty easier.
What do you think of, like, did Super Mario have a difficulty slider? Did Mega Man have a difficulty slider?
It's a different time, Greg.
I know, but like I can see
Mario Maker
I can
2!
see their mindset though, you know. I can
But
see.
it's-
And
It's
even Mario
also-
Maker 2 has a difficulty meter.
It's also different
Oh yeah,
genres
based on the level of play, yeah.
too. Like it's different genres and different mechanics you're having to juggle.
I will say that I started you guys at a point where you're kind of just up against enemies already. And the tutorial of this game is very much about don't run directly head on at them.
Yeah, avoid combat.
You are a ninja, not a warrior.
I'm a ninja warrior.
That is a great way to describe it. You're not a warrior.
Oh, this is, you know, as we said, this is like a modern day Tenchu.
We can eavesdrop.
And so, like, and so I will say for like
It's one of your favorite things to do.
like
right?
Donovan and Asif just go directly at the enemies. And that's when they all get together and say, we're going to stomp the crap out of you.
Well, I mean, like it's yeah. I mean, it's all about your parrying, right? And then retry.
Well, it's not even all about your parrying. It's all about, like, knowing to
It's
choose.
about sneaking behind people and stabbing them in the fucking back. That's what it's about, Greg.
Yeah, ninjas don't like fighting you heads up. That's not a ninja way.
That's what ninjas
He's a
do.
samurai though, not a
But not-
ninja, right?
He's a ninja. No, he's a shinobi.
He's a shinobi?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he's a shinobi.
Which is why he sucks at fighting people up front.
Yeah, at least the Assassin's Creed guys can like fight up front if they have to.
He can too, but he's just not as
Yeah,
good.
Odyssey, you're not even an assassin.
Even
you're
in
just a straight
Assassin's
warrior.
Creed, if you come up against like 4 Templars, they're gonna beat the crap out of you.
Alright, so how do I drop one
You
of
can
this
get
guy's
past 4
head?
Templars. It just takes
like
a while.
FCO?
It helped on it too.
How do I drop one of this guy?
Okay,
like a
so
true
press right
assassin?
stick, or
I don't
yeah,
know.
and jump over that guy, and then as you come down, you'll see the dot turn red. Hit the attack button as you come down on him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And now his buddy sees you. That one.
We'll wait for Krabs to get out of the chat until it's time.
Yes, good call. See, and that's the kind of strategizing I'm talking about, is that you get rid of the biggest threats first. And don't be afraid to run away, because you have the ability to just run for your life. That's the reason I never died in the game, is because I realized that I could just run away when I felt like it.
Yeah, it's really just us three. But, so yeah, after Darwin was not great.
Die twice.
No, it's shit.
No more, no less.
Maybe we'll die a couple times tonight.
Can I get lost in the set menu for sure?
I
How do you
honestly,
equip a weapon?
honestly, dude,
Why did you take his
there,
prosthesis off?
I don't know why you did that.
what you did there speaks to the complex nature of those menus. How
Greg's gonna somehow take the grappling hook off, and you're like, how'd you do that?
Was it an RPG? Because he felt like an RPG.
If you deflect as they attack you, it breaks their stance far more quickly, and you can assassinate them. Like, basically counter parry.
Just does like.
If you stay there, you're
Yes.
pretty much
this
in
isn't bad.
you're pretty much
No,
stuck
it's not
right
bad.
now.
No, it's a good game.
Yes.
It's a very. I will absolutely grant that it's in a very acquired taste, but
Despite not being the biggest fan of Pokemon games, I like them, but I'm not the biggest fan. I think I still like them better than Sekiro.
Same.
Even though I prefer like the more aggressive
I
nature of
definitely am,
Bloodborne. Like,
I like Dark Souls more than Bloodborne, and I think
I just like the opposite.
I like this more than Bloodborne.
and that's kind of the
But I
argument.
like Dark Souls more than this.
And that's kind of the
I love the
argument that I
setting of
made,
Bloodborne.
is that
So
I like the setting of this.
it's a different kind of
Yeah.
game. And I just feel I've always felt like the comparison to Bloodborne and Souls is just
You know what though? Like on a
There's
broader,
just some mechanics that are undeniable.
That's the thing.
that
Like
are
on a broader
that-
conversation, from one FromSoft fan to another, they could have done this for themselves.
for sure.
If they
'Cause
want,
you see-
if they want to separate from those comparisons, they need to start either updating or dropping the soul systems they keep recycling.
Yeah.
Sure.
They've kind of pigeonholed themselves.
They have.
Yeah, we're
Because this is absolutely the kind of game that will punish you for playing it like Souls.
yeah.
And it should. And I don't want people to misunderstand. I want it to do its thing. I just have a lot of issues with its thing.
Fair.
And I was super stoked for this. Played it for 12 hours.
I would do another playthrough of this, especially when I'm Butterfly.
yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know. I might stream it or something.
Yeah, if you go from the beginning, it'll like take you through like a
Really
lot of
keep that raw.
stuff that's just like I kind of threw you in the middle of.
No,
I don't know if you'll get past what David was, but
I don't know. I want to beat Dark Souls. I want to beat the first Dark Souls, and the second Dark Souls, and the third Dark Souls.
I think that's one thing. Like you mentioned, you want to co-op this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This game, for better or worse, is single player only.
yeah.
So
Yes.
I played Bloodborne.
But
I
their
played through Bloodborne.
multiplayer is so weird. The whole summoning and
the invasion aspect
Yeah.
of
the
it.
invasion aspect.
it gets to be second. The problem we ran into is I was telling you guys, the connective tissue between areas doesn't let you summon. We can't like beat a boss and then like walk across the bridge to the next bonfire
Yeah.
area. So I was just trying to get you to where I could see your summon signs.
Yeah.
But once you get to a point where you know where they are, it just becomes second nature. Just drop your sign, wait for someone to touch
Nice.
you.
Wow.
Yep. Even the big
Way to
boys.
go.
It's a money shot.
That's the money shot right there.
That's kind of the strat in this, is that it's good to like know when to run away and then come back when nobody is paying
Oh yeah,
attention.
you're down, you're back up, you're down, you're back up.
Yeah.
It's a
Strike
lot
and
of
retreat, strike and retreat.
Guerrilla
a
tactics.
lot of verticality in this game, which I really like.
Verticality is great.
We're in
And
Some of the platforming segments are
Just ready
also
to
some of my
simulate.
favorite platforming segments in the game. There's actual areas where like you need to time out the grappling hook to get to certain spots.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like there's a boss fight that is very like you need to time out when you move with the grappling hook or it'll kill you. The snake.
There's a nice amount of enemy variety in this game too. Like there's a lot of different enemy types and models and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
it
nice.
pulls off of a lot of Japanese mythology, which is another thing I just love about it. It's just like how much it pulls from that lore and culture. It's very cool what they do with a lot of their like mythology. Which that's always been a Souls thing. They pull off so much mythology. Like for Souls, it's a lot of like Nordic lore, and Bloodborne is more Lovecraftian.
That's why I'm a huge Lovecraftian fan. So like that's a big part of why I love Bloodborne as well. The setting is so good.
And so this one with fucking dragons and spirit foxes and ogres and all that stuff is extremely my jam.
But like, the really cool thing I like about
Makes
more than
elf.
Bloodborne and any of the Dark Souls games is its use of color. Because Bloodborne and Dark Souls have like such a bland palette of colors, and that's not bad. It's just the style of the game.
Play Dark Souls 2. It's much better color palette. I agree with you otherwise.
Okay, so they went back to 3, they went back to Droll. I remember one.
Troller. Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad. It's just that's
Dark Souls
atmosphere
2
of the
over
game, you know,
Dark
They don't
Souls
want it
3?
to be vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a dead city.
Miyazaki loves castles and crypts and swamps and sewers.
I do love the locales in this game too. Don't kill that person; she's friendly.
I was going to say, is that like some siren?
That's another FromSoft trademark, though. You can kill the NPCs.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
The first time I
Don't
played
murder
Dark
her.
Souls, I killed the merchant in the
I like
alleyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I do like that aspect of, and you know, that's
Same.
something. There's a good example of how they did pull something from the Souls franchise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's like elements in this game of the formula that they've been working on, but it's different. I think that's why you might not like it as much, David.
I don't like it as much because it's not different enough. That's one thing I guess I haven't really
Yeah.
gotten into yet. I wanted a cleaner break from
Yeah.
Souls. I also wanted Bloodborne to be a cleaner break. It's much more. That's why they call it Soulsborne, because that game is Souls. It's just a different type of combat. I wanted Sekiro to be a cleaner break in terms of systems.
Like full on different.
Yeah, just
As opposed to,
systemically, I wanted it to
You have your
its
left
own
bar in
game.
the bottom. You have the quick item menu. You have the
No
attack.
bonfires.
No bonfires.
Yeah.
And yes, it does contain all of those Souls elements, while also just like punishing you for playing it the way that you see it.
And that's the thing too, right? Like Miyazaki says, this isn't a Souls game. Well, then why are there so many Souls elements? Like you can't tell me one thing and then have it bear out as another.
I think that the problem is it's the Souls like and the Dark Souls clones have been like waiting on that for I think for a while.
He wants to get away from it, but apparently Elden Ring is supposed to be this
Yeah,
We're
there's
gonna
a
see
man.
some of the Jeff Keighley awards.
Yeah, we have to.
I think we will.
I
It's
think
been-
so.
long. Yeah. There's also
And all we've seen is that little snippet that's all we've seen so far.
I want to clarify, like, I don't dislike this game. I was just
Canon Man
disappointed
is
in
right
it.
there
I
to
feel
the
like
right.
that holds different meaning.
That's the canon guy.
Do you still think would it be in your top 10?
You're okay. Resurrect. Go get him.
If so, it would be
I gotta die twice.
close to the bottom, you know.
Teach him.
There are a lot of other
ways.
games I want to see today. Like, I'm very open. I've been open to everything. I'm more intrigued by Death Stranding than I am with Sekiro.
Yeah.
You know.
You sound like my dad, David. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
One of the
It's like,
things.
oh, that's worse.
I know.
To be mad.
One of the things that they remain.
We say that to you half the time, Greg.
I know all the time.
We were talking about enemy design a little bit ago. One of the things in this game is you run into enemies that use gunpowder, and most of them have bandages all over themselves. And that was like a major part of that era because they had no protections against the gunpowder that was exploding
It is
next
cool
to their
detail.
faces.
Yeah.
Do we want to get Greg in here now?
He's actually about to hit
Greg,
the
you wanna
next.
hop on
About
and
to
fight
do something?
He's about to hit. If you go up to the that
making
rock
my
ledge
stage.
on the right there, there's another idol up there.
Yeah, Donovan, and then head up the stairs. It's safe.
Don't do that.
Doesn't seem safe.
Kill that chicken.
I don't feel safe.
Oh god, the chicken fights back.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's some real
Yeah,
cocks
it's
in
a-
this game.
Good lord.
Okay,
Why are
go
you
up
fighting-
there where that blue light
Dude,
is.
Not your cock of
the
the
dark
year, this
chickens
is not
are
game.
bastards.
Chicken fight of the year.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to go up
Can we
in the
have a
other
late
direction.
edition?
I'm-
Shacknews
Like go
Award?
around the
course
other
we
end of
can.
it,
Chicken
right up
fight
there.
of the year.
It's our awards.
and then
Chicken
come up
fight
from
of the
Foulest
that
game
way.
of the year.
This is the best.
If you
Yeah,
jump
let's
and
like
then
that
jump
one.
again and held X, you'll grab the ledge.
There you
Or you can do
Then
that.
watch people rage. I don't get it.
go.
Yeah.
And that
That's
is
why you
how,
have to call it the chicken fight of the year.
and that's how you
They
progress
use
through
that
this
as the
game.
description.
Nice.
So head up the stairs.
I'm happy.
Very good. Swap
I'm really happy to see that you made it all the way to a checkpoint. I'm
Yeah,
proud of you.
Donovan,
Yeah,
let's
like
hear
it.
from Donovan because he's
That's
been
pretty
here a
cool.
while.
I liked it. I mean, I've never
Donovan,
played
what do you think?
Souls or Bloodborne or any of those games. They've always seemed way too
All right,
difficult
TJ. So
for my.
Okay, you might
Lot-
just want to look at the
patience.
controller buttons really quick,
But it was fun.
so I don't have to
Yeah,
explain everything.
okay.
Just press start,
I definitely.
Uninvert your
it's well
controls.
made.
go to options,
What was that, Donovan?
and that's all
So I
your
definitely would
controls.
go back and like play it from the beginning. But it's
What
fun.
is,
There's no
is
inverted
something
anymore.
wrong? Is something like is it
No,
not
it's not.
Oh no, I just wanted you to see it really quick.
Why did you
movement?
Think you
Grappling hook, deflect. So this is
He's
deflect
gotta know what
and
he's working
attack.
with.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
deflect
because I don't
attack.
want to tell. I don't want to have to tell everyone every time. Right button is attack, left button is.
You mean you don't want to play game developer at E3?
Hi, welcome to E3. Okay, yeah, here's how you attack. That's great. You're doing great. Oh, look, your time's up. All right, next person.
Oh, by the way, you should rest.
I thought we already did.
Nope.
Oh, I can commune.
It'll respawn everything in the area, but it'll also restore your life. The giant chicken is there again if you want to go fight it.
Yes! I murdered that thing. That thing
We
is...
gotta get to DMC at a decent hour because Brittany wants in on that.
Yeah. Well, it's up next, so once Greg wraps up, we want Greg to have his shot at Sekiro.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? How do I... Is there a roll? Oh, there is a roll. Okay, but there's no stamina... That's right, there's no stamina bar.
Are
So
you still invincible in the roll?
David really wants you to go fight the
Okay,
ogre.
where is it? Where is it?
So turn to the left. If you
Go up those big
head
stairs.
up towards that gate,
This is a
you'll.
fight I genuinely enjoyed. That's what it's on.
It's a very interesting one.
And yeah, Greg, left trigger for the grappling hook.
So actually,
Right.
this is interesting because it tells you about it. Move up close to those guys, but don't engage them. Like stealth.
How do I stealth? Wait.
Yeah. Eavesdrop. Press down on the D-pad. Move to where you can see the icon with them. And eavesdrop.
That big bastard.
The game actually gives you these eavesdrop moments to kind of tell you what's coming ahead.
Yeah. I've watched some streams of it.
If
so
the
I'm
worst
not very
happens,
good.
only choice is use fire.
So it's not that I haven't paid attention to the game. I just watched some streams of people who are much better at it.
And now murder those men.
I think Krabs likes this.
Right stick to lock onto it.
Are we gonna hear from him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna.
Oh, you just let him die.
You know,
Let him bleed out.
button to press.
Give me that. I want that. Whatever that is, I want
Hold
it.
X.
Yeah!
You suck it into your body like a magnet.
Whatever it is, I want that.
Head up those stairs, Greg. See that big dude?
Oh, he's tied up.
Go
It's
kiss him.
fine. It's fine. He's tied up. It's not a big deal.
Oh, then you should get going then.
You can get an instant.
What's going on, buddy? Oh my god! No, wait. This isn't supposed to happen. Ooh.
This
I
guy
can
is
jump
super
too.
easy if you go to fight Madam. Well, if you work your way over to Madam Butterfly and get the fire.
Oh, whoa, he jumped
They give you
super
the hint.
far. I jumped.
They gave you the hint that he has
So,
fire.
Ozzy, check this out. The drop kick.
Oh yeah.
And.
Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, wait.
He totally killed
also
me.
does basically
I was,
the
he like,
last ride.
leaped like 25 feet.
He's giving me the last ride. Yeah.
For real?
Now
Yeah,
you
oh,
can
yeah.
run away if you don't take
Elbow
the
drop, man.
No, yeah. He's
Pickle's elbow.
Oh, here it is.
Oh,
Here it is.
man.
Watch this, Ozzy.
power.
Power wave.
He is the Dave Bautista of Sekiro.
Dave Bautista just made it to the WWE Hall of Fame, so that's our tribute. Right
Wow.
there.
Yeah, the dodge. I think is it. Do you have to jump dodge or dodge? Which has you go?
A button
Further
jumps
faster.
and is pretty good,
I would use the regular dodge.
but B button will allow you to jump quickly to a side.
Oh, I'd give this game a shot though.
Mhm.
It's not bad. I don't know if I would ever do that. I'm gonna try to beat Dark Souls.
I just don't think that, like, everything else that I've played this year, I don't think that anything consistently made me want to continue to keep going. And also, Madame Butterfly is like my boss fight of the year. I feel like the music, the atmosphere, and the fight itself, like learning how. That's right, I forgot. You can actually grapple onto him and get some hits in.
I just, I hang out in like a PlayStation, chat sometimes with my friends, and I remember a couple of them
Did I break it?
No.
playing Sekiro and
What's up, buddy?
talking about that boss battle, and like
You wet your glowing eyes for a minute.
Yeah.
Don't really like the way they look at me with murderous rage. But it's okay, because I broke the game. It's okay, buddy. We're just gonna do circles and see you calm down.
He just wants you to stop so you can do wrestling.
This is not-
He's got 2 more health
must give you a
bars.
hug.
That would never happen in Death Stranding.
Oh, wow. That,
Boot. Super Mario Maker 2!
You get Greg's doing all
I'm
right.
already tired.
oh, he did a suplex! The people's elbow! Oh, no! Oh! He reset on that animation a bit fast.
So
He was like lying straight down, then he just.
to resurrect.
Okay, he was lying straight down, then he just stood up like super fast.
Greg,
He's
I
like,
would
you're gonna
run away.
no-sell
He
me?
power bombs you so hard you die.
Oh, I thought the fire would have fallen and he would have been like, oh, I'm on fire.
That
You're
ogre
gonna
kicked you in the
no-sell
dick
me.
to death.
I wish we could clip that because he was like standing up, then he just like stood up. He was like just appeared up. I'm like, oh god. and he
Oh, I'm
grabbed
sure
it.
Mark already got it.
Oh wait, no. See, look, I died twice, and now I have to.
You're dead?
The
Oh,
rod
yeah.
set in,
You,
right?
you got the rot.
Dead.
Greg collected the
real thing?
rot.
I think that's a good place as any is.
Yeah.
All right, yep.
Remember the guy who
I
made
did
the
die
prosthetic?
twice.
He's
I
sick
did die
now.
twice.
Things are rotting now.
I read.
You,
Yeah, look what you did.
you
Greg.
made us rot, Greg.
See what
Good job.
happens.
I hope you're happy.
Can you put... Oh, Bill, you're getting echo on your end.
Bill.
Yeah.
Just, we're echoing on your end. Now we're not.
Really? Because I have a headset on. And
Yeah, it's fine.
Is that my dad?
No, he's the
Plop
one-armed
this down
monkey.
by the laptop.
He's the one-armed monkey.
You plop that down by the laptop. Okay.
I'm just, I'm glad that gamers have a game like this for that market that likes this type of games because I feel that it is a harder game, and
Do you wanna
developers
plug it
don't
in?
tend to do that for
What?
gamers. They're like, it's too hard. You know what I mean? No one will like it.
Yeah.
Because nobody likes losing.
Okay, well, we're gonna
We're gonna be
Try with some
swapping
WS.
computers now, I think.
let's switch over.
We're swapping computers.
I think.
No.
No? Is it here?
It's
Is it here?
complicated.
Thank you
Okay.
all for indulging in my
Hey,
terrible
it's a
ninja
good-
game.
No, it's not terrible. It's sold well. I think there's there's definitely like a genre and like a
I
an
will
audience for
grant.
this.
I will grant that that has always been my argument about this game is that if you can put in a bell that makes the game harder, then you should also have a bell that makes the game easier.
Hey, what does this bell do?
So on a note related to Kojima, the Souls community is one of my favorite and least favorite communities because you have a lot of people who are dismissive when you try to say this game's too hard. They immediately play the get good card.
Yeah.
And like, oh no, I can't have a difficulty selector in my pure game. Like, why? Just don't use it.
Their argument is that it would break the spirit of the game because they have to do all the technicals and stuff. I was like,
Yeah.
do you know
What
what
do you
that bell
think?
does? It just adjusts the
it does.
parry windows and the damage
Or
counter.
just give yourself more health on easy mode. Like this
Oh,
game is
it's-
a lot more mistakes.
Yeah, I
Where's
think
the keep
the
it in
bottom
chairs
line
all
is
night?
that like From Software loyalists can be as bad
Hi,
as
Ben
Kojima
Kitty.
loyalists.
Oh my goodness,
Bad Kitty
she finally made
is
it.
our number one
She made
fan.
it.
Ichiban fan.
Pog.
David, which one's the one where you're with the dragon on the bridge? Is that the first one or the second one?
Josh, I don't know how to do scene transitions.
All of
It's like
them.
the second boss.
Dark Souls 2 has that.
I'm gonna just turn off studio mode.
Okay, so it was two. So I played through. I told you the story before, and I was like, oh, the range character. I'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, to be honest
and
with
then,
you,
I
real
got
quick.
like
Bam. Okay,
5
there
hours
we
in the
go.
game, and I was really
Hey.
struggling.
We just
so
got
I was on
all-
Reddit,
we're
I'm like,
'cause we're
"Here's my build,"
transitioning.
and they're like,
Yeah, that's
oh,
good.
you built wrong. Start over. And I'm like,
Look, Lola.
So like Dark Souls 2
You're on the
lets you
internet.
respect. And a lot of
More.
people are up in
Even
arms
more
about
than
that.
you
I'm
already
like, no,
are.
why not? Let people
then it was
just
the first
adjust
one.
it.
It was
Because
the
that's
first
a
one then.
Because that adjusts the difficulty, and that's not in the spirit of the game,
Yeah,
David.
it's not Miyazaki's vision.
vision.
Again, I liked this game. It just kind of wasn't quite what I wanted from it. which is not Souls. If they never make another Souls game, I'm fine.
I'm glad I was told that it was supposed to be a Tenchu game before I played it the first time.
Yeah.
Because it completely changed like how I approached the game.
Mm-hmm.
If I had gone in without hearing that, I might have treated it as a Dark Souls game and I might have been pissed off about it.
Yeah.
But I knew what I was in for.
Yeah.
Tick-tackety tick-tack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's typing over there.
Do we have another Xbox controller with batteries in
That one. Oh,
we can use this one, right?
it? Yeah.
We can just swap this one over?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just swap this one over.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be great.
Do we need the cords
I'm
still?
sorry, Josh. I'm
Yes,
done
take
with
that.
you.
Just to sync it.
Sorry, he's a big scared man.
Yeah, this one doesn't have any batteries.
I'm sorry that David's so jealous.
I'm sorry, Josh is literally the worst.
Sorry that David's so jealous.
the worst.
Just the worst.
Forehead.
He's pretty dog.
I don't even
Sorry
get
to
that,
be
but
so
I like
jealous.
it. Whatever it is. I can get behind that. Pog and forehead. I got it.
Greg, you come closer to using POG correctly than anyone else on staff that doesn't know what it means.
I know what
Still don't know what it
it
means.
is.
I know what it is.
Explain to you, not to
Pod
use it.
forehead.
Yeah, he's explaining me twice. I still don't know what it is. I'm a chicken, March.
Ozzy and I probably both know what it means. We just
I know what it
stupid.
means.
Back in our day.
I want them to put out
That's
DLC for this
chicken
game.
or grandpa.
These
Or
darn
do I ever?
kids, darn
Maybe we
kids,
should
get
listen
off
to him
my
now.
lawn.
I reject
I
the
remember.
existence of fog.
You know
All
what,
its
Bill?
uses.
We're not going to talk about that, Bill.
Mr. LeBoy, what did you say?
We might.
We're not going to talk about
He
that, Bill.
rejects the Pog.
Oh, Schmoog!
I heard Greg in the background, but
Yes,
I don't
Greg
think
is
he
in
said
there.
anything important.
No, not
It's
usually.
Greg. He doesn't really ever say anything important.
Okay, this is. Hopefully, this has batteries. Right?
I want this game to get DLC, but I doubt they'll ever do it
Xbox.
because it didn't do as well as the other Dark Souls games.
And you could be one of those sports commentators that only
yeah.
says like one thing.
And I think
every
also,
single time
like-
the guy's done. He was a lot of hard yards.
He seems to
doesn't
be all in on
Yep.
Elden Ring at least for
Because
now.
the
Yeah.
guy anyway.
Which is unfortunate because I want to play more in this universe.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad that Neo 2 is coming
It's the
out.
commentator in Fantastic. It's great.
Okay, we are switching.
You don't like him?
I thought
Who's the one in the middle?
Were overwrought,
He's
and
so tall. It's
the
like he's 20 feet
That's actually
tall.
my number one.
Well, I don't think he's.
Huh?
I don't think he's that tall.
Diablo style procedural loot system.
Yeah, I know.
No, I
Items
mean like he
pile up a
plays
little
like
too much.
it's
Just got
like
time
you have to
to sort through.
explain.
But I like the game.
One
I'll play
goes
Neo
over the top
too.
and one of them takes
I'll say
everything literally.
You play
I absolutely loved the different weapons. And I absolutely loved like growing my skill in like different categories.
Or
And I
it's
absolutely
Unreal. I thought it
loved
was Unreal.
the Guardian Spirits. That was easily my that was easily my favorite part of that game
Oh,
is the Guardian Spirits, and just like how each of them do a different thing and also can make it
Okay.
give you different.